You know, he had a best-selling film come out a few years ago, and I think it's now more important than ever. We sell it as well as his latest film, Utopia, about the Obama nightmare at InfoWarsStore.com. You really should get it and give it to your friends and family, because now you've got congressmen and others coming out pointing out Frank Marshall Davis, and a video clip of Obama talking about Frank Marshall Davis, teaching him basically his worldviews. So for an update on this, Joel Gilbert's going to be joining us, and he just told us he's doing an interview tonight with major breaking news with WorldNetDaily.com. We'll have the story, obviously, tomorrow. I want to invite Joel to pop back in for 10 minutes, 15 minutes tomorrow to tell us what this big breaking news is. Maybe he can give us a little taste of it. He just talked to one of Obama's relatives and has been tied on the case. Let's go ahead and go to this clip of Obama talking about one of the main communist publishers, hooked in with the KGB, you name it, major newspaper publisher throughout the country of communist official newspapers, went to Cuba, Russia, you name it, Frank Marshall Davis, who was also a famous pornographer, and clearly Joel got in the private collection of someone and shows his mother there at the house in porn with him, and this is where Obama grew up. And his grandfather was, best friends with this guy that's his dad. So the whole Kenya thing was a distraction. That's why he said in the Harvard Law Review that he was the editor of, that he was from Kenya over and over again. I mean, in the official intro, I'm so honored to be born in Kenya, to be here now at Harvard, and shows you can advance. His wife said he was from Kenya in speeches because they were scared to death of the Frank Marshall Davis issue. Then they put out fake birth certificates, you name it, to make us get on the case knowing they were fake, with the fake typewriter font and all, where the C's, the D's, the A's, the Z's, everything's the same. The fake blobs of the ink are exactly the same. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. Period. Fake. That's a fraud right there. So it's still a fraud. But it's Frank Marshall Davis' son. You've got to get the film at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. But now this new video, and it's up on InfoWars.com, of Obama talking about learning how to obsess over race and everything from Frank Marshall Davis. Video Obama admits noted communists schooled him on white racism. Gateway Pundit. It's up on Infowars.com. Here's the clip.
The passage finally ends with me having a conversation with a close friend of my maternal grandfather, a close friend of Gramps, a black man from Kansas named Frank Marshall Davis, who had moved to Hawaii and lived there. He sort of schools me on that I should get used to these frustrations. So.
And he's such a communist now, though. He tells Africans they can't have air conditioning or a car, as he rolls around like the richest king on earth, but bows every other king or queen he sees. I mean, it's just as they push communist ideology from the piles of gold they sit on that they've stolen. So Joel Gilbert, Dreams of My Real Father. We'll play some video of this in the background for TV viewers. Story of Reds and the deception. I tell you, how amazing. Suddenly, Frank Marshall Davis is getting a lot of attention. So kudos there. We salute you on your groundbreaking research, Joel.
Thanks. Great to be back with you. My film, Dreams of My Real Father, this came out in 2012, and it's just fascinating to me to watch how long it takes for people to really pay attention and realize it. It's coming out more and more. The influence of Frank Marshall Davis is undeniable. He had a profound ideological impact, and I can talk about that. But all the research is in, and I think I've convinced a lot of people and demonstrated that Frank Marshall Davis was Barack Obama's real biological father.
It's her. She did lesbian porn, everything.
Yeah, and he then became his ideological mentor. There's absolutely no question.
He says it.
The Kenya story is simply a cover story because he knows Americans would be uncomfortable if he said, my father was a Soviet agent who indoctrinated me into the Marxist ideology. Incredible. And I am wanting to come and live in the White House so I can help spread this all over the country. That wouldn't work. So he had to say, my father was a goat herder from Kenya, and I'm going to bring people together. So the reality is that Obama is what we call a red diaper baby. This means the child of a Communist Party USA member. And I want to tell you, Davis was not only a Communist Party member, he was a communist propagandist, and he also acted as a Soviet agent. People don't understand this. He went from Chicago to Hawaii in 1948 on the orders of the Kremlin to help start a strike and organize the dock workers with the goal of taking over the Hawaiian government and expelling U.S. naval forces.
And he had massive funding and was able to start major newspapers, you name it.
That's correct. So first, he started a strike for 6 months. The goal was to get rid of U.S. naval forces and allow for Soviet expansion in Asia. The strike he organized eventually failed, and he went on to become a communist propagandist and writer for years. And then, as you can see, in 1960, he fathered the current president of the United States, who has hidden this background. And that's the profound manipulation of the electorate, is he tried to make people think his family was from Kenya, rather than the reality that he was a radical and the child of a Communist Party member, and he was indoctrinated into this ideology, which calls for the elimination of the United States.
And we played into it. You didn't. And I want to go back briefly. This is so incredible. You have new info on how you, with others, discovered this. I mean, you deserve a Pulitzer Prize for this. I'm not just kissing your butt. I don't say that to a lot of our guests, because I even bought it hook, line, and sinker. It was designed for me and Dr. Corsi and others, because, I mean, look, he says in the Harvard Review, every issue, you know, hey, I'm the editor. I came from Kenya, was born there. It's amazing I could be here. You know, as he says it in literature, he does it in book proposals. He does it, his wife says it in speeches in 2007, and then we're just going, it's a fake birth certificate. You say you're from Kenya. We're being attacked. The media will never play the clips of why we're saying he's from Kenya. And then the whole thing was a setup. He was really the son of one of the top communist agents in the U.S., and then his grandfather was admittedly CIA, and his mother a sex operative. I mean, you can't make that up.
It's the sadder story is that America was deceived. People sent their kids to the army. People worked all their lives to protect the right to vote. And people went and voted in an election with a complete deception. Obama lied about his personal background, but he also lied about his political goals. He said Obamacare is not a tax. I'm going to cut the deficit in half. He never intended to do any of these things. It was a complete lie, following the ideology to use a big lie to take power, and then once you take power, use the tools of state, like the IRS, the control of information, to keep a permanent hold on power. So the tragedy is far beyond Obama's family. It's what has happened to the United States and how he's degrading our relationships and our allies around the world. The United States cannot exist in the world as a lone democracy between two oceans. We need strong allies who share our values in Western Europe, Israel, Australia, Japan, and he's used the power of state to degrade our alliances worldwide.
Well, look, he won't let us have one gold mine, one copper mine. He's shutting down power plants every week. China's opening new ones. He's raising taxes. He's opening the borders completely, saying we'll pay for everybody free. I mean, he is destroying the country. I just can't believe that the elite are allowing him to do this. Because, I mean, the elite are corrupt, but man, I mean, is this a communist double cross of the robber barons? What's going on?
Well, Obama's election was not a sudden political phenomenon. It really was the result of an American socialist movement that has been quietly infiltrating the U.S. economy, media, entertainment for decades. So Obama was able to take power with the cover of all these people who simply, the media, rather than investigate his story. I've been to Hawaii twice, which is twice as much as all the media combined. They simply repeated his story. My father's a goat herder from Kenya. I'm going to bring people together. The reality, he should have said, which they would have brought out if they even asked him, is what was your relationship with Frank Marshall Davis? What was the impact on you? Why did you follow in his footsteps all the way back to Chicago, where you teamed up with your real father's buddy, Vernon Jarrett, the father-in-law of Valerie Jarrett, working for a communist newspaper?
And, of course, his dad had been in Chicago, right, and actually started that newspaper, didn't he?
Well, Frank Marshall Davis was a Chicago journalist. He joined the Communist Party in 1932, only 15 years after the Bolshevik Revolution. He was one of the original black Bolsheviks, along with Paul Robeson. And the communists manipulated journalists and black people into thinking that if you follow communism, will eliminate racism. They didn't realize that if you follow communism, you eliminate everybody, not just racism, but everyone becomes impoverished, and the societies end up decaying biologically and economically. So Davis was one of the original black Bolsheviks. And as I said, he acted on behalf of the Soviet Union as a Soviet agent, went to Hawaii. How profound is it that the President of the United States is the son of a Soviet agent? And don't think that the Kremlin and the Russians don't know who Obama is, and they would not use that against him, knowing that he's keeping such a profound secret.
And that's why certain elements of the CIA and the Ford Foundation that's helped fund him his whole life like him there too, because they can use that and control him as well.
Yeah, the President of the United States cannot have a big secret like this. We know that Bill Clinton was speaking to Monica Lewinsky from a cell phone from the White House. And there's no doubt that that could easily have been intercepted by Chinese agents, other foreign agents, and used against the president as blackmail. So Obama has set himself up and set up the whole country with this false narrative that he's the son of a Kenyan goat herder, when in fact he's a red diaper baby, the son of a radical American communist who taught him and indoctrinated him into a radical ideology. And I think in my film, I show that he followed in his father's footsteps to Occidental to study with Marxist professors. He went to New York to go to socialist scholars conferences. He hooked up with Bill Ayers and went to Chicago, back where his father started in the communist movement. And Obama became a trainer for 10 years for Acorn. And he rose
You can
up
see the whole thing. Let me ask you this. You're a really smart guy, and I respect your opinion, Joel Gilbert. The filmmaker joins us. I get Dreams from My Real Father, and There's No Place Like Utopia, both available at InfoWarsStore.com or on his site as well. Just support the filmmaker, support this operation as well. Show this to your friends and family. I mean, if this doesn't wake them up, nothing will. It really wakes a lot of people up when they see the irrefutable evidence that his dad is a communist agent, pornographer, and that his mom is in lesbo porn. You know, it just shows how compromised he is. Forget the moral judgment about the stuff. Just that alone. Let me ask you this. How do you think Obama's doing? What do you think he'll try in his last 2 years in office? Where do you see this country going? Because I don't see them not going for broke as bad as he really is.
Just like his other predecessors in the Weather Underground and SDS, don't forget Bill Ayers became a mentor later. In 1969, Bernardine Dohrn with the Weather Underground declared war on the United States. I think Obama is taking a chapter out of that book, and he is declaring war in the United States without actually saying it. Just like they had a war against the cops, kill the cops. This was the mantra back in the late 60s. They've
George Soros again, $33 million to fund with people chanting "kill the cops." Well, what is their end game?
This is the original movement. All you have to do is look back to the communist movement of the Weather Underground, Prairie Fire. The goal is to eliminate the American middle class and destroy the foundation of the capitalist system. They know that church-going, hardworking people will never buy into this progressive nonsense. So their goal has always been to eliminate the middle class, raise taxes, give away their health care to poor and illegals, flood the country with immigrants, degrade our position abroad, do everything they can to eliminate the foundation of what supports the free market system, and that is the only threat to their having a permanent hold on power. The goal is to keep a permanent hold on power.
And the Cloward and Piven's almost here. We've been maneuvered towards total bankruptcy. We're beyond that. They just haven't pulled the plug yet. They've dumbed the kids down. They are just distracting us with every crazy issue you can imagine. The great commissar Michelle tells our kids what to eat. Joel, I know you got a big breaking news story that'll be out tonight or tomorrow at WorldNet Daily. Can you tell us what it pertains to?
Yeah, I'll give you a hint. I've developed relationships over the last year or two with close Obama confidants and relatives. And I will be dropping a major interview with a major Obama family member tonight, and you should see it tomorrow on WorldNet Daily unless there's any delay. But that is the expectation, and there will be very profound new light shed on the issue of Frank Marshall Davis, as well as Obama's relationship with the Kenyan family. People, if you read the news, you kind of get the picture that Obama made a very big deal out of the Kenyan connection, out of all these relatives, in order to get elected. Once he was in office, he never talks about them again and never has anything to do with them. And the Kenyan Obamas have been paying attention to this. and wondering why this strange behavior. His whole life, he actually interacted with them a lot. He visited Kenya several times. He hosted the Kenyan relatives. And once he achieved the presidency, all of a sudden, you never hear about them, nor do they hear from him.
And we're going to find out tomorrow what's really going on. If it does break tomorrow, please come back on for another 20 minutes, Joel Gilbert, because I know if you're saying it's really important, it's going to be big.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Again, folks can go to his website and get his films, or go to InfoWarsStore.com. Dreams from My Real Father, and there's no place like Utopia. Dreams from My Real Father was a huge blockbuster online and in DVD sales. It's been a big seller as well. Dreams of My Real Father, but I mean, nothing, the new film, nothing compared to that from what I've seen. And I think it's even a better film and more powerful film overall, just about the collectivism and what it's actually done to black communities and others. There's no place like Utopia is available at InfoWarsStore.com. You need to get that film, not just to support us, but so this information the system doesn't want you to see, you have it, and you can show it to others. That's how we're going to change things, is waking people up that Obama is a total fiction, a fraud, and is being blackmailed by criminal globalist interests. So get both the films, InfoWarsStore.com. My name is Alex Jones. Most of you know me from my syndicated radio program and my documentary films, as well as Infowars Nightly News. When I got on air 20 years ago, I had discovered the globalist program, their plan to take over the world and install a corporate fascist state. I had read their own books, discovered their own documents, and my focus went from running 6 miles every other day, swimming 2-3 miles a couple times a week, and lifting weights, to focusing on fighting the globalists. I transformed my body from the beautiful gift that God gave me into something more akin to Jabba the Hutt. It became an internet joke. But now I've started the transformation back, getting my body, my temple in shape, and I'm about to tell you how I did it. I've gone from 279 pounds all the way down to 235 pounds, and the weight's going off even faster. Super Male Vitality, Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine, and Oxy Powder. Those 3 products of the entire family of InfoWarsLife.com products are the most important from my own personal experience. The problem was, though, I'd never been a vitamin and mineral and supplement taker before, so I kept forgetting to do it. So after I'd lost over 60 pounds, just a month and a half ago, I asked the crew to take a photo of me in the same lighting to see what I could do in just a month and a half. This is what happened in just 45 days. We took this photo back there in the back office, and I already lost a lot of weight, but I lost another 6 pounds with the Oxy Powder and the other products at InfoWarsLife.com, and this photo was just taken a few days ago. And it wasn't just that my weight loss accelerated. My muscle mass increased. My stamina, my energy levels exploded. Now is the time to take action. Start your journey today with the Alex Challenge Pack. It's the trifecta of change. Secure yours today and get free shipping for a limited time at InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. You know, he had a best-selling film come out a few years ago, and I think it's now more important than ever. We sell it, as well as his latest film, Utopia, about the Obama nightmare at InfoWarsStore.com. You really should get it and give it to your friends and family, because now you've got congressmen and others coming out pointing out Frank Marshall Davis. Big breaking news is maybe he can give us a little taste of it. He just talked to one of Obama's relatives and has been tied on the case. Let's go ahead and go to this clip of Obama talking about one of the main communist publishers, hooked in with the KGB, you name it, major newspaper publisher throughout the country of communist official newspapers, went to Cuba, Russia, you name it, Frank Marshall Davis, who was also a famous pornographer, and clearly Joel got in the private collection of someone and shows his mother there at the house in porn with him, and this is where Obama grew up. And his grandfather was, best friends with this guy that's his dad. So the whole Kenya thing was a distraction. That's why he said in the Harvard Law Review that he was the editor of, that he was from Kenya over and over again. In the official intro, I'm so honored to be born in Kenya, to be here now at Harvard, and shows you can advance. His wife said he was from Kenya in speeches, because they were scared to death of the Frank Marshall Davis issue. Then they put out fake birth certificates, you name it, to make us get on the case knowing they were fake with the fake typewriter font and all, where the C's, the D's, the A's, the Z's, everything's the same. The fake blobs of the ink are exactly the same. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. Period. Fake. That's a fraud right there. So, and a video clip of Obama talking about Frank Marshall Davis, teaching him basically his worldviews. So for an update on this, Joel Gilbert's going to be joining us, and he just told us he's doing an interview tonight with major breaking news with WorldNetDaily.com. We'll have the story, obviously, tomorrow. I want to invite Joel to pop back in for 10 minutes, 15 minutes tomorrow to tell us what this